I'm so tired of people saying that it's just a movie, it's just a comic book, it's just a TV show. Whatever. No, it's not. Stories are the building blocks of our culture, of ourselves, even of our own psychology. We are a product of the stories we tell ourselves about our own past and the experiences on a daily basis, but also the stories that we choose to spend time with. What types of values or feelings or whatever are they promoting? What types that we like to spend our time around? They're going to shape us. They're going to shape our personality and character, and they're going to shape our perception of the world and the acts and behaviors that we put out into the world. And people don't understand that. They go, it's just a movie. It's just this. I can like and promote whatever I want. Well, of course you can, but you should pay attention to the responsibility that you have.
Consume stories responsibly.
As a member of society, as a human being, responsibility to yourself.
Consider the consequences.
You need some balance. You need some certain criteria that is going to make sure you're promoting the right kind of works, or at least have thought through the type of work that this or that story is going to do in our culture, and then make your own decision whether or not that's something you want to support.
Consume stories responsibly. Consider the consequences. Consume stories responsibly.
Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel. If only, right? If only people would consume stories responsibly. They've got the consume stories part right. They'll consume the heck out of stories everywhere, anywhere. But responsibly, that's the part that people just can't seem to manage. Anyway, welcome to another Office Hours. Gonna stick with you about an hour tonight, maybe. We'll see how it goes. But welcome to everyone here. Thanks for popping in on a Saturday night, spending with me. Hopefully you had a good week. Hopefully you've had a good week of saying no to the pride bullies and standing up for truth, as I have in that thumbnail. We'll talk about that and the nature of that and whatnot in a moment. But first, let me welcome the chat. Got quite a few people in here. Great to see everybody. Let's see, back to the beginning. Brian Gilmartin, welcome. First in the chat there, my dear sound engraver. Ghost Planet Max. Max Inc. Sorry, 1.0. Great to have you guys there, as always. The Batman is with us. Private Eye in Retrospectiva. Final Fantasy fan, welcome. Len Green. Spidey Rules. DFLS Studios. Yes, you did make it. Mark Baker, good to see you again. AL, great to have you. Alec Purdue, hey, you're here. Listening while you play Tears of the Kingdom. Awesome. And Leia Plus Size. Hello, everybody. And many, many more. I'll stop just reading names, but great to have you all here. The Batman says, I'm looking at your shelf and do not see my action figure anywhere. I actually have it's in another room. I've got a bookshelf and I've got 3 tiers, and one shelf has originally I was putting up every single figure I had of these characters, but I had to stop because it was just getting way too cluttered, so I wanted to put up only the meaningful ones. So one shelf is dedicated only to Superman characters, one shelf is dedicated only to Batman characters, and then one's dedicated only to Wonder Woman figures. And I've got some really good Batman characters. I'll have to bring in some and show them off to you sometimes. I've got, the ones from Michael Keaton era, obviously. I've got the Adam West one. I've got the Arkham Knight, or Arkham Asylum ones. I've got some good ones there. Got some good classic Robin characters and whatnot. So, let's see here. Sound Engraver is asking if I'm on Wi-Fi. Well, yeah, I'm on Wi-Fi because I'm always on Wi-Fi. Are you asking if I'm on the right Wi-Fi? Answer is yes. Everything's fine. Why? Is something coming through weird? Roboting a bit, she says. May have to leave and disconnect. Yeah, maybe it's I don't know. Does anybody else hear me roboting at all? I think I've been going fine. But you guys can let me know if I've got problems with the sound or anything. So yeah, I'll have to bring in some of those Batman figures. That'll be pretty sweet. I'll show them to you someday. I always like doing a good show and tell. Yeah, everybody's saying no roboting. My dear sound engravers, that must be something on your end. But thanks for letting me know. Where to start tonight? Let me go ahead and start with the thumbnail. It's just something. It's kind of it's on theme anyway. I'd used that thumbnail before, and I love that thumbnail. And in this moment, this Captain America moment, this classic, great, wonderful Captain America moment, we really have the power of mythology, because that comic, it was a Spider-Man comic. I think, if memory serves me correctly, it was tied into the Civil War comic. I know it was definitely used in the Civil War movie, and I also think that comic might have been by G. Michael Straczynski, because it was his tie-in, Spider-Man's tie-in to the Civil War. I might have some of these things wrong here, but we often look at characters and stories in their mythologies that show us truth, right? That we find the truth in them, and they inspire us, especially hero stories, to be better. And they inspire objective truth, actual, absolute truth, the real deal, the real deal truth. And people will look at and point to these characters as the ones who stand up for this. And look, they're showing us this and that. And then sometimes the authors or creators behind these stories, people will point to them and say, well, see, they're actually this or that. And I'm just not parse my language. They're usually very liberal progressive. And liberal progressivism tries to deny that there's any absolute truth, which is absurd, because no one really doesn't believe in absolute truth. They just believe in it when it's convenient for them. And progressivism believes in very much in absolute truth. They believe in its absolutely necessity and true to go their way. But whenever you start pointing to evidence and whatnot, then well, that's your truth, man. You know, all that stuff. It doesn't matter who wrote these comics. It doesn't matter who wrote the stories. It doesn't matter who created them. Mythology is bigger than their creators. And I don't mean that in a way in which, obviously people own copyrights but mythology, once it takes hold in the culture, it becomes bigger than their creators. Love Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster. Really like their story, draw a lot of inspiration from them. But when I think Superman, I don't think Siegel and Shuster, nor should I, nor should anybody. You should think of Superman, the character, and what he became in our culture and what he means to our culture. Siegel and Shuster did not set out to create a character who would become the bastion of truth, justice, and the American way. It became that, and they were still linked to it, and they played into that, a good deal, and that's fine. But something deeper happens when a culture embraces a character or a story and uses it for something that they need, And so this panel of Captain America, this is him saying truth exists. There's true. No, he was born a woman or a man. He doesn't get to change his mind. That's just the basic truth in the world. And that's not what that comic was relying to. I'm just saying that there is truth in the world, and that's what one of the things we're facing today. And when you often try to draw inspiration from a story like that or from a character and apply it to some real world issue today, in which people are trying to say, oh, no, this and that, and trying to deny just straight up obvious truth, they'll sometimes trot out the creators or the writers or whatever. It doesn't matter what those creators or writers say. Straczynski wrote that quote in Captain America's, words there, and he was kind of paraphrasing a quote from Mark Twain. And it was a good Mark Twain quote as well. Mark Twain was in his own context in time, but the actual Mark Twain quote had started out with something about your conscience and how you perceive truth and whatnot. Now, progressives will jump on that in a heartbeat. Yeah, perception, conscience. See, it's their individual. It's their truth that they are this or they're that. No, that's not what made it into Captain America's mouth. And there's a reason for that, right? That's what made it into the consciousness. Captain America stands for truth. It doesn't matter how many people will call him a hate bully or a hate speech or whatever for it. He's going to speak the truth, and that's going to be it. And we need more of that today. We need more of that. We need to draw inspiration from our true blue heroes. This is why, as I've been saying since I started this channel so many years ago, this is why they're coming after our heroes. This is why they've been for over 10 years now desperately trying to deconstruct our heroes, not let them stand for anything that's really solid and really inspirational, but slowly subvert them and slowly deconstruct them into something that would be a progressive ideology, and it's something that they can make for their poster child. The MCU is a great example of that. All of the themes and everything that was laid into that story, and then with Endgame just doing this now. It was the progressives that finally made their their progress, as it were, in terms of their power, and they were able to just turn the whole thing, just turn the wheel abruptly to the left and pretend that that made sense with the story. It didn't. It did on so many different levels. But that's just an example. Right now, we're seeing, as I talked about on my channel, when they took my video down and called me out and said that I was giving hate speech simply for saying that we need to stand up to the pride agenda and say that no, men and women are objective biological truths, and you don't get to change that, and you don't get to force your pronouns on people. Simply saying that, simply saying the truth, they called that hate speech and deleted the video. And I'm just a tiny little YouTuber, but we've been seeing that done with bigger channels as well. It was 5 days ago, I guess. Sound Engraver mentioned it to me, and I had to go looking for it. But Candace Owens was doing a video talking about how they demonetized Matt Walsh's channel already. I think they're going after like Daily Wire people, and let's just be honest, any conservative people that don't toe that line and use the right speech and whatnot. And they're trying to go after them where it hurts money wise. And I said in a previous video, one of the things that they'll never stop me, because this isn't my bread and butter. YouTube isn't my life, my income. I get a little stipend or something from it, when I do it well, which is fine, but it's not going to kill me or devastate me if they took away the channel. That's why I upload everything to BitChute as well, so it'll always be out there. They'll never silence me, but it will. They're not going to. They don't have that fear to hang over my head, but they're doing that now. And you should go back to about 5 days ago. You can listen to Candace Owens' video. She's talking about they made, I think also Michael Knowles, they made them. They said they have to take down every video in which they misgendered somebody. No, they correctly gendered somebody. It's just not the fantasy that people want to believe these days. They had to take down every video with that, and all of this stuff. Comply, conform. Obey the false narrative out there, the straight up lies out there, and that's what we need to say no to. Now, I was thinking about it. Because I encourage people on my channel, I encourage you guys who are watching to stand up and say no to this nonsense. And I've talked about like the difference in my YouTube channel. I mean, I've been at 16,000 subscribers for, I don't know, over a year anyway. I could have been more, but I refuse to toe the party line, even when it comes to like geek party lines. Like, even within like, various different Fandom Menace channels, there are certain movies that you're supposed to like and say pretty things about, and there are certain things you're not supposed to say pretty things about. You're supposed to do that and this. And you'll see, especially right now in the midst of like the Bud Light boycott and the Target boycott, do a search sometime on YouTube. You'll see there's a big explosion of channels that have started because they've seen, hey, this is a wave that we can ride. So it's not even people with unique expertises on the situation. It's just people who decided, I'll ride that wave, and they talk about every single day. They talk about another article, Bud Light's going down and this and that and everything, which is great. It's fun to follow that story, but you're seeing people just ride that algorithm and not really. Maybe they truly sincerely believe that. Hopefully they do. But what's going to happen when they truly believe something that's not the popular thing to believe? Are they still going to stand up for it? Are they still going to say it? I will. I'll still stand here and stand up to everybody's face and say the Joker's a crap movie and you shouldn't have gone and see it. I don't care. So I'll get some subscribers, and then I'll make sure I drop some real truth to lose some subscribers. But what you're getting is the truth from me. I'm never going to try to be something I'm not. I'm never going to try and be insincere and ride an algorithm for you or whatever. It just bothers me. I don't know how people can trust channels and enjoy them when they so obviously, blatantly are doing that. But anyway, that's just me. What the answer, though, in terms of this saying no to the pride bullies and this agenda, their let's just be honest, their religion they're trying to push on us. The answer, it's great when you've got big YouTubers. Thank goodness we got people like the Daily Wire, who you think of them what you will, at least they're standing up against these kinds of nonsense and saying these things. And it's great when we have that. It's great when channels, even of my size, moderate, little, small size it is, can stand up and speak out against it. But I think what's really going to be the case, or what's really going to be the thing that'll fix it for people, is when people like you stand up. Right now, maybe you go into the comments and maybe you support videos that call out against this, and that's great. But I think the more people who don't necessarily have videos, YouTube channels, or whatever platforms or big audiences. I think the more of you who simply make a video, make a blog, whatever your comfort level is, write continuous posts. That's what the answer is. Continuously stand up and call this out. Say no. Stand up for truth. Do what Captain America says in that video, making your voice heard more so than just to your friends and family, or in here in a context where it's kind of safe. And I know there are consequences, right? There are consequences about people can lose jobs, people can lose certainly friends and family members. I mean, out of this nonsense, but that should wake you up, right? That it's gotten this far where you could actually lose your job for not agreeing that this person who is a man, clearly a man, not calling him a woman. We've gotten so bad now that parents are allowed to transition their children, even aside from medical transitions. Let's just say actually letting a 5-year-old, a 6, a 7, 8, I don't care, 10-year-old dress up as the opposite sex and pretend that they're the opposite sex. They don't get to do that. That's insane. This is insane. I see that my camera here is popped off. Let me see. There might be a setting or something in StreamYard. Let's connect to my camera. Because I did see it freezing for a second there. I don't know what was going on there. Let me try to unplug my camera and plug it back in here for a second. See if this will help matters. Oh, I see. I think I see what was going on. If the camera was blipping out here and there, I think I know what that was. I have an actually, let me just bypass that altogether. I have an extension wire. My camera USB has an extension USB cable, and because I used to have this set up where I needed that extension. I really don't need that extension anymore, but the extension was loosely fitted in there, so I'm just plugging it up straight now. Let me try to set that back up now. Just one moment, and I'll get back to what I was saying. Might have to if it won't recognize the camera again, I might have to jump out of the stream and come back. You guys should be fine. You'll be fine there. But oh, there we go. All right. Let me see. Does that mirror anything? No, I don't want to mirror the camera. Let's not do that. There we go. That's more like it. Okay. Yeah. So we're back. Sorry, the camera was just not plugged in very well. Let me catch a super chat before I get back to my comment, because it was an important one that I was going to make there. Arcade Burns for $5 says the pronoun business is dangerous to encourage. No real doctor wouldn't dare tell someone with a delusion that it's real. You're right in theory, but they do. They do. Absolutely. It's so incredibly easy to be taken seriously with that kind of nonsense today. That's child abuse. And I don't say that lightly, okay? Because I am a father, and I don't like anybody interfering with how I raise my daughter, right? But there are certain things that the government needs to interfere on, right? If you malnourish your child, if you mistreat your child, obviously there needs to be interference. You can't just let a parent, do certain things to their children. And I'm sorry, but allowing and encouraging your child to live as the opposite sex, that's effed up. You are jacking that child's up psychology. And you go on social media and you'll see people post about it on social media, and it becomes abundantly clear how much of this came from the kid and how much of it came from you. Every time you see Hollywood celebrities or whatever, there have been different ones in the media lately. The one from Twilight or whatever. There's another celebrity, I forget where she was from, but she's saying, I've got 5 kids and 2 of them are non-binary and one's trans and one's that. I'm like, well, that clearly didn't come from your kids, okay? That came from you and your ideology. People are abusing their children, and we're just standing by and letting it happen. We need to start fighting back for the sake of the children. So fighting back, even on the level of saying, no, I'm not going to call you a made-up pronoun. I'm not going to call you a made-up name. I have that right. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to speak out and say that I don't believe this is a thing. There's nothing violent. There's nothing hate-filled. There's nothing. It's just simply you saying no. 2 and 2 is 4, and I'm not going to let you change that for me. I'm going to continue to stand up for that. I'm not going to let you bully it and shove it down my throat. That's the baby step there, but we need to get to the point where this should be illegal. It should be illegal for these parents to be able to do this for the kids. I don't say that lightly. but that's abundantly, blatantly, obviously child abuse. That is child abuse. How have we gotten to a world where people can do this? It's obscene. It's absurd. Studio Super, thank you very much for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, sir. Big time. Or ma'am, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask if you're. I think you're a sir. And I mean your biological state, not what you identify as. This topic from the trailers looks to be what the new Mission Impossible film seems to be tackling. Truth is vanishing, and you're trying to save an ideal that never existed. Challenge to our hero. Was it you who was a few streams back bringing up the Mission Impossible, or was it someone else? I forgot. But that's kind of cool if that is something that's in that film. I'll need to go see it. Like I said, I've never really kept up with the Mission Impossible films after the first one, and I like the first one well enough. It's good, whatever. But that's interesting. I'll check into that. That's yeah, it's pretty fascinating that you say that. That'd be a gutsy move, right? Be a gutsy move to happen these days, definitely. So we need to stand up to it, and I think the answer is people like you who don't even necessarily have platforms. I know some of you guys have platforms, but just your average person who gets to say no. That means making a video or a podcast or a blog, or just at least writing posts on the social media and whatnot. They'll silence you. They'll try and come after you every which way. But that's what they're afraid of. When a person like me or certain big channels, comes out and say this stuff, the reason they silence us in a heartbeat is because they're terrified that will catch fire and it will inspire you average people who don't necessarily have platforms. It'll inspire the masses, right? Because your average person doesn't have a platform. So it'll inspire the masses. And if they get the masses against them, then they lose their power. Right now, the masses aren't for them by any means, but the masses have been silent, have been sort of, whatever. I don't want to, rock the boat. I don't want to get in trouble. So we'll just do this, whatever. That's been going on. I do see the stream getting a little weird now, and I don't know why. I do not know why. Everything should be fine. I don't know. Hopefully all is well here in a second, but that's weird. We'll see what happens. Stop cam. Go back. Everything was so good there for a few weeks, guys. Everything was so good. Now it's being weird again. I don't know. We'll see what happens with it. Might be my if we'll check some things. It could be my webcam, but we will see. So people need to stand up to it. Everybody in general needs to stand up to it. I'm just seeing now. There I am. Okay. They finally let that come back. Thank you to Studio Super for another $4.99 super chat. They won't let them get tattoos because that's too extreme, but they'll let them lop off their parts. I know. Make it make sense, someone. Yeah, exactly. And the only answer to it is it serves their political agenda right now. It serves their political agenda. That's the only answer to it. And that's absurd. I'm going to turn the camera off for a while until I can figure out what is going on. Maybe it'll clear up in a bit later. We'll see. But we'll just keep rolling with it. Oh, it does say, wow. I might need to find a different option from StreamYard or whatever, because it's crazy that this is happening right now. I got a suspicion that I know it might be it, but sorry guys. I know it's annoying when somebody's talking and they keep stopping like this. Anyway, I'll have that fixed before next time. Don't worry. We'll figure out what's going on. So, okay. The next topic the next thing I wanted to talk about, and it's all related too, so we're not like leaving this topic by any means. We need to stand up to them. We need to call for real, true stories, like I said, true deal, heroic stories that follow along and give us the real heroes and the real characters. It's gonna take some time, and they're going to really try to bite back. Now it's a good time to do it now because we have the momentum. We have the momentum in culture with the boycott, the Bud Light boycott, the Target boycott, Kohl's, all these kinds of stuff. So popular culture has some momentum, and that's great. That's great. But I hope this doesn't happen. We certainly know this is the case in the geek world. People can have short memories. I'm not saying this will happen. I hope it doesn't. Everything thus far has been showing us that this is serious. This really may take and may stick around for a while because of the way it's unprecedented for this Bud Light boycott thing to last as long as it has, and Target and so forth. And I love it, and I hope it continues to go. That's kind of unprecedented. But just historically speaking, people have kind of short memories, especially when it comes to consumerism. And eventually they get tired of standing up for something. They spend their rage. Rage is spent, and then they just go back to consuming. This is what happens in the geek world every single time, all the time. This is what I've been standing up against, and I'm so mad that Disney did this with Star Wars. When's the next season of Mandalorian? Just we see that all the time in the geek world, and hopefully it won't happen in popular culture. I was reading, I don't know if I mentioned this before in a stream, but I was reading, I love early American history, colonial history and whatnot, and I was reading Jeff Shera's, I think I might have mentioned this, I was reading Jeff Shera's Rise to Revolution, and it's talking about John Adams and Samuel Adams and Paul Revere and everybody in that first Continental Congress, and the striving to actually get to the point where they could declare independence. And especially Samuel Adams and the Sons of Liberty, they were the ones who were really the incendiary ones who were, they were behind the Tea Party and whatnot. And really, and I don't know if you don't know history, they're behind the Boston Tea Party when Britain was enforcing that tax on tea, and you couldn't buy from anybody else and all this stuff. So instead of violently revolting, instead of violently attacking the ships or whatever, they just went on the ships and dumped the tea overboard. So we don't want your stinking tea. We don't want that tax. We're not standing for it, and didn't hurt anybody with it or anything. You could say, well, they hurt property, but yeah, it's a different situation there. And Samuel Adams said something in the book, and it's just a fictionalized account. Maybe he wrote something like this before, but he said he's worried about people having their short memories. Everybody's really mad when something happens, and then things kind of even out a little bit, and they're like, well, I mean, yeah, that was bad and it made me mad, but I mean, we're kind of beyond that now. It's sort of comfortable now. Things are okay. And one of the things Samuel Adams says in the book, he's like, but every time I get worried about, that may be kind of happening, Britain does something else. They come in and, do another, level another town or do something else ridiculous or whatever, because a lot was going on, a lot more really fantastic things are happening in the revolutionary or colonial times leading up to the revolution than you taught in high school, and the history books will certainly go about. But there's that aspect, right, of cultural memory and people kind of getting tired of it or whatever. And I think you have to ask yourself, in order to fight against that, I think we need to ask ourselves, what is the reason that you are really upset about this? What's the reason that you really want to see Bud Light go down? What is the reason that you're really, are you just having fun with it? Because there's a little bit of a spectacle appeal that people have here. There's a spectacle appeal that people have when they just, it's fun, right? Especially with YouTube. YouTube has got its own sort of consumerism culture that started, which is really kind of ridiculous, where it's the thing, right? We see that in fandom, right? It's the thing. Oh, Ezra Miller, all these things are coming out about him being a felony. Well, it's a lot of fun to go and find the channels and find, oh, and this, my favorite YouTuber here said something about it, and they said, this, and they're covering the story over here. And oh, now my favorite, this other YouTuber had something about the same issue, and you'll go watch 3 or 4 different commentators just talk about the exact same issue because it's fun. You're kind of addicted to the drama of it. Even if you really are against the nonsense, like for Ezra Miller, for example, even if you really are The dude's a felon. He's getting nothing but a slap on the wrist for it. This is insane. How are we letting this happen? But then enough time passes and enough time goes by, and then you start hearing little justifications, little things. I wish my camera was working properly right now, because then I would let you read my lips. But I'm going to say this, and we'll get back. It's all related to the pride thing. We'll get back to that in a second. But let me just say this while we're on it, because it ties into my illustration. I'm going to speak very slowly, and I'm going to articulate all of my words here, okay? Because you really need to understand this. There is no such thing as going to see The Flash just for Michael Keaton. Now, I'm going to say that again, because a lot of people are having a really hard time with that one. There is no such thing as going to see the Flash movie just for Michael Keaton. This is a ridiculous, simpy little lie that people are telling themselves because they're having a fear of missing out. They need to go consume it. They can't be left in the dark. This is going to be a big deal. People are going to be talking about this movie, whether it's bombs or whether it's good or whatever. It's going to be something in the know, and they've got to be in the know. They got to be that. They got to go find the YouTubers who are going to go review it scene by scene. Buying that ticket for the Flash is saying yes to Ezra Miller. It's saying yes, you are the Flash. It's saying you don't deserve whatever. It's fine. It's fine that you didn't really face any consequences for your crimes. It's fine because you preached the right sociopolitics, right? Ezra Miller is the poster child for all this gender nonsense. And that's one of the reasons why he just gets a little tap on the shoulder and moves along, gets his movie. Warner Brothers knew that. They knew, fans are mad now. Those stupid little give them time. They won't want to miss the movie. Tell you what, we'll just promote it with the little Michael Keaton scenes. They'll all come see it. They got no self-control. They'll come buy their ticket. And the vast majority of you will. It's just so sad. It's ridiculous. And you're hearing people, don't let people get away with that nonsense either. Well, I'm going to see it for Michael Keaton. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're going to see it because you have a fear of missing out. And even if it's a horrible film that never should have been made, you're there for it. You're there for it because it's on the screen, and I got to be there for it so I can go and be in the know and go to my YouTubers and whatnot. I don't even understand how people who like Michael Keaton, he's my Batman. I can't see anybody else big picture or big screen, really in that role but him. And everything that's been released about what they're doing with him is garbage. People get over the idea of Batman stop being Batman, please. That's not fresh or innovative. Somebody had an interview with the director that I heard about where he was like, yeah, we wanted to do something different, like where we find this character now. That's not different. Maybe it was slightly interesting when Frank Miller first did it in Dark Knight Returns, but can we get over this nonsense of a Batman who stopped being Batman? Stop it. Stop it. It's not fresh. It's not new. It's annoying, and it's completely and 100% against his character. He would never do that. I don't care if Gotham suddenly became a peaceful city. He'd be where he is needed. Batman is bigger than him. He's Batman now. He's going to do that. He's not going to, not be Batman. So the Flash movie is a perfect example of how people just kind of forgot their outrage, just kind of forgot the truth that they were standing on. And they'll still pretend that they're for truth. They'll still pretend that they're very mad that Ezra Miller has this, and they'll still pretend that Warner Bros. I don't know what they're doing and blah blah blah. But I need to see it because of Michael Keaton. It's absurd, and that's how they win. That's how they get to dictate to you what truth is. That's how they get to dictate to you what reality is. That's how they get to dictate to you what these mythologies are, what these hero stories are, because people can't say no. RK Burns, thank you for the super chat. Says Michael Keaton Batman is the modern day Malibu Stacy with new hat, but Ezra Miller is a real life supervillain. You can't support it, but Batman, I know. People will sit through most of the movie with multiple Ezra Millers just to get to that little bit of No, you are there for the whole thing. You're loving it. Stop pretending that you're anything else. This is nonsense. And I'm hoping this doesn't happen with people standing up for truth with all of this cultural stuff that's going on with the pride and whatnot and transgender ideologies and people trying to, they're victimizing people. I've said this before. Certainly children, but even an adult who has gender dysphoria. That's a cruelty to them to play into their gender dysphoria, to encourage it, to let them mutilate themselves, all to push a gender ideology. And it really has become the religion, because progressivism can't get behind any kind of religion. It's almost like how communism in Russia, one of the many reasons it failed was because it refused any kind of belief system, and it tried its best to replace Christianity with this sort of religion of state. Mother Russia is here to take care of you. And it just didn't work. It never worked, because it's just, that doesn't work. People have their religions, that they're there for a reason in culture, and they do things for people. They're so ingrained. And progressive ideologues, they can't fully get their way with religion still in place. You got a lot of people like Joe Biden or Tim Kaine or Nancy Pelosi trying to pretend, and let's just be honest, they're only pretending that they really are Catholic. But it's okay to kill babies, and it's okay to mutilate children, and it's okay because that's real love and compassion. This is nonsense, right? But they're only going to get so far with that, because anybody who's truly, when in this case truly a Catholic and actually subscribes to the church's teachings or whatever, is going to realize that that's nonsense. And you could pick other examples too with different religions, but they're only going to get so far with that. So what they ultimately have to do, they realize, is they have to replace these different religions with sort of a unifying religion. And pride is the best option they've got right now. They tried to do it with abortion, women's rights, but that's still a fight that people are willing to have, and thank goodness it is. But they're trying with pride now. They're trying their best to fight it, to push it, to shove it down your throats. They know that they're not going to get you to really agree with it, but if they can just get you tired of fighting them on it, that's the key. They can just get you tired of fighting them on it, and just being willing to roll your eyes whenever the concept comes up, but generally not doing anything about it, generally not speaking about it in any way that'll actually get you in trouble. We don't want to lose your job. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. That's what we need. That's what all it'll take for them to ultimately win. It's sort of a war of attrition, getting you to, just wearing you down to where you'll be no threat to them back. That's why we can't let these things, we can't become complacent in this. So I think that people need to question their motives when it comes to standing up to these bullies. Are you standing up to them because it's fun right now and there's a little progress right now? Thomas Paine wrote after he wrote Common Sense, he wrote a really great piece that was kind of rallying the troops in the hard times. We're talking about, getting on the cusp of Valley Forge, and even before that, the real hard defeats that came in the militia and in American military's way. And he said, these are the times, it's the great, it's a classic piece. It's got the classic quotes from the beginning. These are the times that try men's soul. This is when the summertime soldier abandons, the summertime patriot, abandons their post, when it's actually hard, when maybe you don't have the momentum that we do now. Maybe people aren't boycotting Bud Light again. Maybe people have gone back to Target. Are you still going to stand for truth? Are you still going to look at that quote that Captain America says and say, yeah, I need to plant myself by that river of truth. I don't care if the whole world, all the media, the whole nation, I don't care if they're against me. I don't care if they want to take my job. I don't care if my friends want to turn against me. I'm not going to let you tell me that there's not truth. I'm not going to let you tell me that this isn't real. You don't get to change the world and reality around me. Absolutely not. And they're trying their hardest. It is a culture war. It's absolutely a culture war. Only idiots, only completely ignorant, willfully blind people can't see that now. They've gone after our heroes. They've tried to demoralize, deconstruct them. They've tried to take away everything that would inspire us to fight. They haven't been successful, but they've tried like heck to do it. And they tried to replace belief systems. They're coming after you every which way they can to try to make this stick. And we can fight it. We can say no, but we have to keep saying no. So I love that we've got this momentum now in culture. I love it. But are we going to keep it? Are you going to be able to say no? And, I'm making the parallel between geek movies and whatnot. I think they are related, but it's not necessarily the same. But, like geeks who will still go lap up everything they put out so that you can make fun of it or so that you can point out what's bad about it. Are you going to fall into that trap with, with ideologies and whatnot that are being pushed in the greater culture? Or are you going to be consistent? Are you going to really stand up and say no? That's the real question. Let me check on my camera here and see what's going on, because I also wanted to do a review. And I don't want to do the review if I can't have the camera, because I want the camera to be able to show the comic and everything. Yeah, so I'm having some webcam trouble. I'm gonna I'll let it play for a second there to see if it levels out. It doesn't look like the same kind of trouble that I used to have. I think I know what might be it, and I'm hoping this is something I can fix. But I think it's going to have to be for another day. I have Joe Frankenstein by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan, book 1. It was released to their backers a little while ago, and book 2 is getting ready to be sent out, pretty soon. You can still get book 1 and book 2. But I enjoyed that. I enjoyed Joe Frankenstein, and I wanted to do a review. So I think I'm going to have to review that as a standalone video for the camera nonsense here. So I'll get that taken care of. But won't be able to do that now as part of this stream. So let me check in with I got another super chat here. Thank you, Andre Hernandez. Have you ever heard they censored the wrestler scene from Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movie? Some people are offended at Spider-Man's jokes of all things. Is that when he he says something like I can't remember the line that Peter Parker, he emasculates him somehow, and it's a funny line. It's perfectly appropriate for Spider-Man to say. I can imagine them. I can easily see them trying to censor that now. Yeah, own physical media, because that's another way they're coming after all these streaming services. They're censoring. They're taking away lines for everything. I didn't hear that they did that, but it doesn't shock me at all that they would do that, because they are trying to do that. Then we've seen that, and we've known that to be the case for a long time. And again, that's something, something as simple as that is owning physical media. It often takes probably a little bit more expensive to find an old or hard copy. And then, it takes more work when you want to watch something to get up and get the hard copy and put it in the DVD player or whatever, instead of just clicking a button and streaming. And so it's another thing. How much are you willing to really stand up against this nonsense? Well, I mean, it's just me watching it right now, so I'll just click the button, whatever. I know what he really said, so it's okay. I don't have to get up. Are you going to give it that another view and just succumb? Or are you going to be willing to do the work, be willing to stand up? No change has ever come. No return to sanity. No actual course corrections have ever happened in history. Revolutions for truth. None of them have ever happened for people that weren't willing to. I'm going to use the word fight, but I don't mean literally, violently fight right now. I mean, fight back in terms of saying no, resisting, not watching this, not getting this, not buying this, that kind of thing, that kind of fight. Because you'd be surprised how many people simply aren't willing to do that kind of thing. It's crazy. But it's a good comic. Yeah, I see that, Lynn Green. Yeah, Joe Frankenstein is really good. I'll do a review. I'll just have to record it separately, and I'll get this camera thing fixed for at least by next week. I'm almost positive I know what it is, but I need to check on a couple things. We'll get back to where it was working just wonderfully there. Studio Super for $9.99 says, for most folks, to get them to fast from entertainment, they need an alternative. On my end, my one shot is almost done. It's a short story to introduce my characters and give a classic hero story. That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. People need to, keep giving us real heroes. I will say this: if you're and I don't know anything about you, Studio Super, you could be a well-established published writer for all I know. I know that a lot of people who want to turn their hand at creating stories for their own need to hire editors. Please hire editors. Please, 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 please hire editors. Even even writers who are well established, when they get a little lazy now and then, and they're just cranking out output after output after output, and they don't put something through the review process and the editorial process, it comes out, didn't really work. Not a good thing. There are some recent books that I've read by writers who really ought to know better, and just, oh man, this is bad. And I kind of know what happened. I know it's these writers who end up making a living at writing, and they just need to keep cranking out material. But you got to put your art through an editorial process. You got to, and I'm not saying maybe you're doing the Studio Super. I'm just using your comment as an excuse to talk about this in general. Especially if you're going to try and make a statement, especially if people are trying to give us stories that we're not being given by mainstream media anymore. Make sure they're quality. Make sure they're quality, definitely. But good to hear that, though. Good to hear that you're doing that. That's great. Definitely what we need. Really disappointing, really upsetting about this camera thing. Like I said, I think I know what it is, but I'm not going to be able to do the review with that going on. I will say, and if anybody has any chats or want to bring something up or questions or whatever, we can do that, but won't stay on here too much longer. But I will remind you guys that Friday night, Big Al and I are starting our book study. We're going back to the Star Wars EU book studies, and we're going to start with Star Wars Darth Plagueis. And it's a really solid book. If you missed our intro stream last Friday, we did an intro stream just talking about what the book is, what to expect from it, how to go about it. And we said that if you want to join us, you read the first 5 chapters, which isn't all that terribly long. But we're going to talk about it this Friday, probably at 7:30 p.m. That's when the stream will be, and you can catch it later if you're not there or whatever. But it's a really great book. We're going to talk about some good writing lessons we can learn from it. We're going to talk about some really good mythology lessons we can learn from it in terms of how to really make a world resonate, the mythology of a fictional world resonate, because Darth Plagueis is a fascinating character. I know a lot of people were against it, and still are, and that's fine, about the idea of giving Sidious anything like an origin story. I can tell you this, though. Whatever origin story he gets in this book does not take away his status as an elemental villain. Remember, the elemental evil villains, they're like the polar opposite of the aspirational heroes. Aspirational heroes, they can't learn to be good. They can't learn that they should be this. They just have to be true, pure, and good from the start. They can learn a lot of things. They can learn how to more effectively achieve heroism or whatever, but they have to have that pure, true goodness from the start. And we desperately need those heroes that we have. And Sidious, the Emperor, has always been a wonderful elemental evil. I would spit upon the very existence of this book if I thought in any way it tried to make him, we understand how he fell, and let's see the choices that he had. Did the nonsense that the Joker movie tried to do for the Joker, for example. It doesn't do that. It doesn't. We do get some more of the backstory, but he's elemental evil, and that's just what he is. And it's very good in that respect. People might not like it for other reasons, and that's fine. But I quite liked it, and I think that those who follow along the study will enjoy it too. So there's that. Andre Hernandez for $5. Thank you very much, sir. Says, do you consider Wally West and Deku as part of the Phil Coulson, Tim Drake archetype? They both appreciate these heroes and want to be like them. Yeah, they're fanboys, right? They're that kind of fanboy character. Yeah, you must have been tuning into some of my old videos talking about Phil Coulson, Tim Drake. Who's the I'm blanking on his name right now. The guy that was kind of the fanboy of the Hulk for a while at the beginning. Rick something. Can't remember the character's name, but yeah, then he became sort of a fanboy of Captain America, doing some stuff for him at one time in the comics. But it was good stuff. Yeah, Deku and Wally West would certainly be that route. There are others, absolutely, but Tim Drake, what a great hero Tim Drake was, and it's just disgusting how they've tried to. Dan DiDio started the nonsense with New 52. They really kind of spit upon his legacy, even a little bit before that, with Damian Wayne coming in and kind of muddying things up. Not that there can't be a place for Damian Wayne, but they didn't do it well. And then, he's never really Robin. He was Red Robin, but he's never really been Robin. It's kind of nonsense. And then all the stuff that the ideologues are doing to him now, It's just nonsense. Rick Jones, thank you. Everybody who's saying Rick Jones, Arcade Burns, the Batman. Vince Moore. Yeah, I was blanking on his last name, Rick Jones. Thank you. Yeah, those are cool characters. So there's that. Looks like Sound Engraver will be streaming tomorrow. I don't know. I see my stream kind of circling there. I don't know if you guys can even still hear me. It's a problem. I'm gonna have to look into this. We'll get things taken care of and figured out, but it's annoying. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this stream up here, just because it's just frustrating. But I'll figure out what's going on. They're not silencing me. Not even the technical problems are gonna silence me. So don't worry about that. We're there. Yeah, you guys can hear me. I know. It's just that I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'll be back to that. I will go ahead and get this review recorded for Joe Frankenstein, probably maybe tomorrow or Monday. You'll have it towards the beginning of the week, because that's no problem. Recording a video, my camera works just fine for that. It's a connection issue, I think, that I just need to get them to come fix. So that'll get done there, and I'll give you the review video of that, because I want to keep doing review videos of the good stories that are out there. You know, I did the review of Superman 78, which I said you should go buy. So definitely avoid the Batman 89 comic, because that's not what it should have been. You know, I'll try and maybe I'll repost some of my old review videos too. You know, talking about Hutch, the Adventure Quest. You know, a lot of great stories out there that a lot of people just maybe need some help discovering when they finally get off consuming everything new. You know, it's easy to follow stories when you're just consuming everything new, because you're just following the latest hashtag. You know, the media tells you, spoon feeds you what they want you to watch. And all these YouTube channels who make sure they do their reviews and all that, they just play into that. They're spoon feeding it to you as well. They're lockstep with the media they claim to be fighting against. So when it comes to really trying to discover alternative stories, it's one thing just to find out about this or that, you know, content creators book, and that's great, but we need a lot more of, you know, if you're like me and you like looking at stories all the time and consuming them all the time, you want to do it responsibly, then you need a lot more. So I'm trying to do a lot more reviews to bring up those out there. Studio Super for another super chat. Man, you are very generous, and thank you so much. So I got a bud that offered, I thought you were saying bud isn't Bud Light for a second, but no, you got a bud, I mean like friend, that offered to do some editing. Oh good. Oh yeah, another bud as well. He's also a writer. I do treatments for my stories. If there's a way to have you look at my stuff, I'll take the help I can get. I do offer my services as an editor, you know, for a price, because I just don't have the time to, you know, certainly do it for free. But if you got editors looking at, that's great. And again, I hope it didn't sound like I was talking to you personally, because I don't know you or your stuff. I'm looking forward to seeing what you put out. But I was just kind of using your comment as an opportunity to talk about, unfortunately, some of the things I've seen from others. But that's great. That's just wonderful. Yeah, editors are just, you can be the best writer in the world. You still need an editor. You can be the most seasoned writer. You can be the most prolific. You can have written everything of consequence in the last century, but you still need an editor for that new thing you write. That's just the way writing works, you know? And it sounds like you know that. So that's cool. Really glad that you're putting that out. Let me know. Please do let me know and keep me updated with your, you know, links, channel, whatever you're going to promote it on. I'd be interested in seeing what you're doing. Definitely. So that's the stream for tonight, folks. I do kind of feel a little shortchanged. I feel like it's I don't know, had all this kind of gumption and passion going in, but then the technical difficulties kind of distracted me halfway through. But no worries. We will definitely get that taken care of and be back with the usual stuff. Arcade Burns is saying your stuff looks good. Yeah, I'll look up your try and look up your channel here and see it. That's cool. So yeah, we need that. We need people to do that. Even though I still stream for right at an hour there. Yeah, had it set for 10 p.m. and here we are at 11. So that's good. Worked out well. Sound Engraver is going to be streaming tomorrow, and I will be back with videos, you know, shorts and whatnot. Do check out my BitChute. I did not put my BitChute in the comments section or description rather. I neglected to do that, so let me add it here. In the meantime, I'll do two things for you. I will give you a review. This is an old review I did for Graham Nolan. I even talk about some other books here too, it looks like, but Graham Nolan's Monster Island that he did a while ago. Here's a review I did of that, which is really good stuff. I'm sure you can still get a hold of it somehow, but I'm gonna that's an old review I did. I was going to put that out there as I talked about Joe Frankenstein, which is from Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. But I also want to put the link to my BitChute out there just in case anybody hasn't yet followed me there. Because BitChute's, it's a new platform. People are going to be hesitant to get there. But I think from what little bit of research I did on all the alternative platforms, I know some people might have really good cases for why, Minds is better or something like that. I don't know. For me, it just looked like BitChute was the most immediately user-friendly to people who are used to YouTube, and it doesn't censor or anything like that. So that's what I'm working on now. If I get convinced that something else is better or whatever, we'll see. But I think that if we can get a good community over there on BitChute, that'd be great. So if you don't mind checking out BitChute, you'll find out creators who post stuff over there that they wouldn't necessarily post on YouTube. I'll eventually start doing that as sort of an incentive to get people over to BitChute and build that community a little bit. But it'll take some time. It'll take some time. But if you're of the mind to do it, switch over there, grab an account, give me a sub. There you go. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys had a good week. Hope you guys are having a great weekend right now. It's still got a good Saturday night, Sunday ahead of you, and a good week coming. Sound Engravers at 5:30, she says, tomorrow. So check that out. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the true blue heroes that inspire us to stand up for truth. Thanks for watching.